is up, everybody? This is Tessa.
And this is Tricia.
Welcome back to Strong Female
Lead. Hi, Tessa.
Hi. It's been forever.
It's been forever.
Yeah.
It's probably been 14 days.
Yeah. But for us, for this podcast, it's quite a time.
It's a lot because our time together is very intensive.
Yeah. You have to start with friend.
We have to start with the friending.
Yeah.
And then we end up spending maybe 4 or 5 hours together. Because we're still learning this whole thing.
Yeah, it's a crazy thing called podcasting, and we're not perfect at it. We appreciate your patience while we learn.
We're learning.
But we've got a new mixer. We've got new mics.
We're upping our game,
yes.
people. We're just now figuring out how to use them.
Yeah. So once again, your feedback is valuable. Please continue to leave your comments on all of our social medias, and if you haven't already rated us on iTunes, on Stitcher, and Spotify, go ahead and do that. We want to do your movies, and we take your recommendations seriously.
We take them very seriously. What's our new favorite SFL fan's name? Is it Ron?
Ron?
Hold on. We're going to get your name right, Ron.
Yeah.
Give us a second. Because
If you request it, we will do it.
You requested glitter.
You requested glitter.
Ronaldo Crichlow?
Yeah.
Please don't hate me if I'm saying it wrong, but yeah, we've seen your comments. We appreciate them. We appreciate the engagement, and we love it so much that even though Tessa swore to herself she would not do glitter because she's too emotionally involved.
It's too close.
It's too close. It's sort of like an investigation of a loved one being murdered, and she's the lead investigator. You can't do it. Yeah. Well, she's going to do it. She's going to do it for you.
Do it. Expect a completely biased, bonkers episode because I refuse to critique this movie in any way that's negative. So get ready for the spin team. I'm going to force this into a...
You're really... It's... Yeah. And
soundtrack alone, this has to be an SFL. Glitter is like my favorite.
But your love of the movie is so hilariously like juxtaposed to my movie review of it, because I did a review in college of this movie for the school newspaper, and I tore it to shreds. Yes. So we'll make that available. That may come into the episode, but we just want you to know, Ronaldo, that we see you.
Yeah. And shout out to everybody in Australia. You guys have been keeping it interesting. We love to see the Australian map get lit up. But if you're not in Australia and you're also listening, make sure you're subscribing so we can see where you are.
Yes.
And if you want to recommend us a movie from Australia, otherwise we talked about just doing Australia, the movie starring Nicole Kidman.
But we would rather, if there's one, that you know of more so, please, let us know. We will do your movie.
Yeah.
That's it.
I'm so scared to do glitter.
I know. It's going to remind us of our something borrowed type of time and relationship. We actually had to
do more rom-coms. I feel like we haven't done one in a long time.
I would love to do a rom-com again.
This is kind of our Glitter's kind of a rom-com musical. It's so good, guys.
Yeah, it was fine. It was fine. I might enjoy it more so watching it now. I mean, because I was all anti, and very Mariah when I was in college. So watching it now, I'd probably like it more.
She was going through an interesting period in the late 90s, early 2000s with her public breakdowns and stuff.
She was having a time. Oh, of course. I love her more so for them.
Yeah.
So what, have you been watching anything lately? I basically just said that because I wanted to bring up the fact that season finale of Handmaid's Tale aired and was extremely powerful.
Ooh.
And the season itself was and the last episode was amazing. Do you watch Handmaid's Tale?
Oh.
I feel like you do. We've talked about this.
I've seen the entire first season. I've seen most of the second season, but it is a hard watch. And it's the middle of summer. And I feel like when I have bad days, I don't want to just you know what? I want to watch somebody who's had an even worse day. Let's pop in The Handmaid.
So that's funny because on my bad days, I'm more likely to watch something about someone who has it way worse.
Oh. I just want to forget that there's a world out there. I'm like, put in another, some Will and Grace or The Office or something dumb that I know what's going to happen. And
that's good. The Handmaid's Tale doesn't allow you to forget. In fact, it reminds you of the things that you may have not thought about.
No.
Just because most of the stuff that happens in The Handmaid's Tale, the author has said, is drawn from real events, you know, and it is all happening, just not in the same universe. Mm-hmm. Anyone who's seen The Handmaids, if you watch the finale, hit me up on social media. I wanna hear what you think. They basically, June, the main character, was responsible for saving like hundreds of kids. Maybe 100. I don't know. It was over 50. It was supposed to be around 50.
Her kid?
No. So that's the thing about it, is all the communication is done, you know, in a very like underground sort of way. So she had no way of knowing what kids were going to be part of the escape, because the Marthas, the ones who are watching the kids, they're the ones who have to agree to do it, and they're putting their lives in danger also. Right. So she had no way of knowing. So we didn't know until the end that her child was not saved. It was a downer. I was
a bummer on a shitty
But
day.
she saved a bunch of children from...
But I'm not invested in those kids.
Yeah.
I'm invested in June's kid, in June's life.
Yeah, Hannah.
Not that I don't want like good things to happen to other kids, but...
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, that's the most recent thing that I watched, and I haven't seen you in a bit.
Have you watched Fleabag yet? On Amazon?
I'm really torn because I started watching the first couple episodes, and I love Phoebe Walker-Blah. I love what she does.
Let's call her Phoebe.
She's
we're friends.
awesome, but I can't... I love the fourth wall stuff, but it's like done so aggressively, I actually can't really get past it.
What?
And so I need to try again. It's probably like a Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, where I'm like turned off by something weird and then I jump in and I'm obsessed. Mm-hmm. I'm sure I'll love it, but I can't. She's breaking it constantly.
Yeah.
Like the whole way through.
I love it.
And
because
that makes me uncomfortable.
Feel like she's talking to you. And I think like once you kind of in your mind turn the switch that she's not just breaking the fourth wall and talking to the camera. She's talking to you. Like,
yeah.
You are her subconscious, or like...
is that... Oh, okay. So yeah. Did you just... Are we her subconscious?
I would say yes.
Okay.
Some people say that she's talking to her dead friend, but I don't...
Okay.
I don't really get that from the
Have
series.
you finished it?
Yeah, I watched both seasons. I'm quite devastated that there's only going to be 2 seasons. And I was like...
That's it?
Yeah. She said she's not going to do it anymore. And I was like, this is...
So did it have a
season
good
2
ending?
Is even better. Never does this happen that a season 2 is better than the season 1, but I'm like, I would almost say that season 2 is better than season 1.
Did it have a satisfying ending?
Yeah, it has. Yeah, I'm not gonna give away what that ending is, but
right.
Like if you meet Phoebe's character in Fleabag, the ending is fitting.
Oh God, okay, I gotta do it. I had a real hard time.
I like binge watched. I watched it all in one day. I was like, both seasons. I was like, I can't stop watching this.
That's so hardcore. Fantastic. That's so hardcore. I love it.
Well, they're like short episodes. I think they're like 30 minutes or something.
And it's on Netflix or Amazon?
Amazon.
Yeah. Okay. You know what? I've been told
that her relationship with her sister, I'm like, I fucking love this. Her sister is so type A, and I'm like,
oh God. I love it. And again, I had someone compare me to her. You know how I get these like really shitty characters, like not shitty, but like they're fucked up. And I had someone reach out to me, a friend of mine, hi Kaylin, and she said, have you watched Fleabag? She texted me, you remind me of the lead character, just the good parts. That's what they make sure to say. I'm like, I don't know what that means. And again, am I going to be horrified?
I mean, I would... You take these criticisms better than I would, I feel, because I'd be like, what do you mean?
Interesting you say criticism. I'm like, oh.
Or, yeah.
I typically guess it's my mannerisms and like maybe just the way I talk. Yeah. Maybe it's because I don't go into their psyche, but now I am starting to question things.
No, and I don't mean like, oh my God, you're just like them in like every single way, but I'd be like, what are you pulling out of these characters that it's like me? Like,
I know. I get it. I get it quite frequently. And what were the other ones? Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, her, and then there was somebody else. I don't know, but I'll take it. It's fine.
I mean...
They're usually vulgar. They usually swear, and they're usually a little bit crazy. You know, Zach actually told me a couple weeks ago that one of the reasons he loved me is I was just crazy enough to make it interesting. He said, just enough fucking bonkers to make it interesting. Like the safe kind of crazy. I'm like, I'll take it.
The safe kind of crazy.
Like you know, I'm reliable, but like I'm not gonna just like take off and like move to Japan one day and like leave him a note. Like he's not like nervous like that, but just enough where he's like, holy fucking shit. Like, what are we talking about? So there you go.
That's awesome.
Probably one of the best compliments he's ever given me.
I think that's a great compliment to be called interesting. Like,
yeah, he wouldn't say that he meant interesting. I think he
meant more crazy.
He meant crazy. He likes crazy girls. What can I say? So what's our amazing episode with the Podfather, Andrew O'Connor?
Yeah. Again, I loved Terminator. I was very surprised because it didn't seem like something I was gonna like.
I would have never watched it. I still haven't seen it, but now I probably should.
Yeah. Just watch it for the effects. They should just shot for shot remake of Terminator, just with updated technology, and I think it would do just as well as the original.
Nice. Yeah, I will watch it, especially after hearing you guys talk about it. It sounded a lot more interesting than I thought it was.
Yeah, I really thought it was going to be
I'll be back.
Some terrible 90s graphics.
Yeah.
Of a Terminator robot chasing Sarah Connor around.
Yeah.
And her just being, angry that she's being chased. Why wouldn't you be? But
yeah, I'd be pretty angry too.
I have things to do, and this Terminator's always right behind me.
Oh my God! Speaking of chasing, how are we continuing the sci-fi theme? What are we doing today, Toso?
Oh, today we're doing some Dark Mirror.
It's called Black Mirror.
Oh, I always call it that. Dark Mirror.
And
Black Mirror.
I heard you say on the outro for the last episode, and I was going to make a mental note to tell you before we start recording, but alas,
say it again.
I decided to tell you on the pod. Dark Mirror, it's the same thing.
I think I'm in my mind combining it with Are You Afraid of the Dark? Because to me, it is just as scary as when I was a kid and I watched Are You Afraid of the Dark? Dark Mirror.
Well, Black Mirror, I read what the meaning means. And that's awesome.
It's creepy, like a phone screen. I love that there's a meme out there that's like something about failing. Like you're trying to take a selfie and then you hit the wrong button. It's like the biggest fail and you can see your own reflection in the black screen. And it's just like the biggest fail that you can have. I'm going to find that meme. I laughed at it every time I see it.
You have to post that because I really didn't know that Black Mirror refers to the reflection we receive from a phone or the tablet when it's turned off. Mm-hmm. I thought it was something techie and then I just never looked it up until now.
Yeah.
Weird. And it's a British science fiction anthology series, which I was wondering is the one we're watching the British one and they just have some American actors, or is there another one out there that I need to see?
No, the season one was totally produced by the BBC. So that one was on TV in the UK. And then season 2, I think maybe that one also went off on BBC. And then that was the first one that Netflix brought over. And I think from there, Netflix bought the show. And that's when you get the American directors, like Ron Howard did Nosedive. And the American actors are in seasons 3, 4, and 5.
Got it. Okay.
But I liked it better when it was British, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I mean, they know how to do it, man. Everything's a little grittier. Like, their crime dramas are always the best, and love them. Love them. They're not sanitized. Like, they're not prude like us.
It's just not as outright of a formula. Like, you're like, ooh, it's minute 16. I guess we're going to get, a clue to who the killer is.
Right. No, they're
like, they will drag that shit out. It'll be minute 40. And I was like, I don't know what's happened for these past 40 minutes. But then the ticking clock will kick in and you're like, oh.
Yeah.
I was following.
Yeah.
I knew what was happening. Today we're talking season 2, episode 3, White Bear. It is one of my favorite episodes, but it's also to me so terrifying. Because I feel like it could happen at any moment. And I feel like every day I'm just like, this world has no morals. And at some point, I will commit a crime that is so heinous.
You think you're going to commit a crime like this woman?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't think I'm going to murder a kid.
Okay. Just wondering. Just wanted to clarify.
No, but that society is like so... I mean, I feel like this is also like about like shame and cancel culture also. That's of the moment.
Tell me, cancel culture.
Cancel culture? Oh my God. So I think if you're...
Love that.
I mean, I think cancel culture really got its like catalyst because of the Me Too movement. Uh-huh. And when you're talking about like these bigwigs, and I'm just specifically talk about Hollywood since this is a movie podcast.
Yeah.
But like when you get the Harvey Weinsteins and okay, Harvey Weinstein's not a great example because he
Jeffrey
did everything.
Epstein.
He did everything that they both did everything that we think that they did.
Oh yeah,
and it's been mostly a trial via social media, and then canceling them with no trial, with no evidence, with no due process, and then it's just like,
oh yeah,
like
then that doesn't apply really to Epstein.
Not to Epstein,
Jesus.
not to Weinstein. They're very guilty.
We can cancel him out. He canceled himself out recently.
Yeah,
so there you
go. No
go.
one feels bad about that.
Thank you.
But I guess the only one that's coming to mind would be the Aziz Ansari, sexual assault, possible sexual assault.
Yeah.
I don't know where that case ended up. It kind of dropped out of.
I don't think it was. Was there?
I don't think she ever pressed charges, but like in terms of like, did she ever get whatever type of apology or?
I think he issued something.
Yeah,
on social
that she was
media.
looking for, and I'm assuming she's okay with it because it's not been publicized that she's not okay with whatever sort of.
Have you watched the new stand-up? I haven't seen it.
No.
And I'm just like, kind of like.
I'm kind of just a little bit past Aziz, and I'm like, I wonder if the special is so different from the stuff he's put out already.
Well, a lot of his stuff is about awkwardness and women, and I'm wondering he's obviously probably going to address the situation in his stand-up, and I just don't know if I'm here for it.
Yeah, and that's the cancel culture.
I know. Like, I think I canceled him.
Yeah, and I'm like, we don't know what. I mean, we have an idea of what happened in the room that night, but to my knowledge, Aziz has apologized, but not really explained his side of things.
Yeah.
And so, but even before he issued the apology, the canceling was in full effect. It's the fuck you.
Yeah.
Culture, but like, you're also like a spectator. Like, it's a weird the court of public opinion, and I'm like.
And Danny Masterson, the most recent. I mean, he had charges filed against him in L.A.
That's that 70s show guy, right?
Mm-hmm. There were 2 women, I think, originally who alleged that he had raped them and or assaulted them, and now 2 more, I think, stepped up. It came back in the news, but I think that it's been around and it's been lingering. But people like him have a lot of money. It's sort of like a Bill Cosby thing where like all of a sudden it disappears and you kind of forget that it ever. Like that trial is still going on. Mm-hmm. And he has yet to be convicted of anything. And I'm not saying one way or the other. We just don't know.
Yeah.
But he has Scientology backing him, and you know what? I'm not going to speak more about. I'm kind of afraid of them, but they're aggressive towards people who are against them, especially these girls. At least 2 of them, or one of them, was his ex-girlfriend and was in part of Scientology. So she says, I checked her Twitter and fell into a black hole, and she says she's been harassed and stuff. And
it seems like their MO.
I mean, they're open about it. It's like seek and destroy, you know, but again, we don't know the outcome. And then even if someone is convicted, we don't always know. Or
because of the way that trials are run.
Or if someone's found innocent, they could still be guilty of something. Or if they're convicted, it might not be. Mm-hmm. So, and it could be just a legal technicality and not about the actual action or behavior. It's insane. I do agree with you, though. I think that we definitely, the court of public opinion is dangerous, and social media has made it wild.
Yeah, and in White Bear, that's kind of explored in that what is justice and what is just punishment. And like at the end of the episode, you're kind of left wondering, like, well, are we as the people who this punishment is being enacted on behalf of any better than the person who's perpetrated the wrong action? And I'm like, I hate this. Don't make me think like this.
I know.
Don't
make me feel bad.
Yeah, I don't want to think about like capital punishment and whether or not people killing someone on behalf of the state and being a resident of that state, they're being killed on your behalf. If that's by lethal injections,
it made me think of people who go and watch.
Yeah.
The execution, you know, and it's not always just family. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, that's a whole other, like, what?
I mean, I assume that, like, some newspaper people and maybe
journalists probably go.
have to be there to, you know, record the time and date for newspapers and public
But a lot of
records and
protests, a lot of stuff going on outside, depending on the case. I mean, this whole situation was, it, like, had a little bit of Westworld, like, even though it was a real person, and then it had a little bit of, like, just a real life, and it was fantastic. So what happens, I guess, for our listeners if they haven't seen it? You should watch it, though.
Okay, I think we should just take that again, because the Air and Water show is the most stupid thing.
Boom.
Okay, so in this episode, in White Bear, let's just start with the lead character. Her name is Victoria. And so we meet Victoria. She's waking up and she's drowsy.
She's feeling like shit.
She's feeling like shit. She looks like she's had like a really rough day of partying or something. And the camera pans down and you see there's a bunch of pills on the floor. And I was like, still could be a party.
And a wrist cutting party apparently, because she's got her wrists wrapped.
Yeah, her wrists are wrapped. And then like on the TV, there's that Black Mirror symbol. And I'm just like, oh my God. Because I've already seen Bandersnatch, and then like going back and watching like the first 3 seasons, you're like, I love Black Mirror because it really is a universe, and like the timeline is so mixed up. Like we're gonna do another episode of Black Mirror, which is like in the future. Like significantly in the future. Well, at least I hope it is.
I think that one's closer than this one.
Really?
Yeah. But we'll see.
I think that this one could be present day. I'm like, this could be happening right now. I would not be surprised. So we're following Victoria's character as she tries to figure out who she is and what's going on in this small town. So she's exploring the house, trying to figure out, she doesn't remember her name, so she's looking at photographs of herself and someone who's got his arm around her, so she assumes that that's like a romantic partner of some sort, and then she picks up a tiny picture of a little girl, and she assumes that that's her daughter. And so she's still trying to figure out what's going on, and blah, and blah, and she goes out into the real world and starts to notice that people are filming her. Horrifying. And then nobody's talking to her, though. Everyone's kind of keeping their distance, but everyone's like snapping photos and taking videos and what looks like they're watching a feed, and telling these like villainous characters where she's located. And then like a guy shows up with like a shotgun, and so she runs away.
That's when it's like, oh shit, people are just watching her get killed. Like that, just the idea of bystanders doing that is totally horrifying and not that crazy.
No, because people do that. And I'm like, and there are like what do you call them, good Samaritan laws. So like if you tried to step in and you know, and it still went left, you know, you're not liable for trying to help. But like it just brings to mind like the case from maybe a year ago where there was a black man who couldn't swim, and somehow he got like into deep water that he couldn't swim in, and just like on the shore, and I don't know if these two people couldn't help. Chicago? They also couldn't swim. No, it wasn't in Chicago, it was somewhere else. But they didn't help, but they filmed him drowning, and then people wanted to bring charges against, because I think they were teens.
Jesus, fuck the air show, man.
I hate the Air and Water show. It always interrupts my napping. They are rude.
If you guys hear anything in the background, it's the Chicago Air and Water show, and it's loud as fuck.
It is. I hope they're all okay, though.
They're
fine. Won't put any bad juju out into the universe. They won't come back on me. But yeah, that's what immediately came to mind, is that people really do this. And like in police activity, like people pull out their phone instead of like, I mean, in that scenario, I recommend that you don't interfere in police activity. But like a fight, like in high school, like there would always be fights in high school, but everyone would just kind of like stand around and just like kind of cheer on the person you wanted to win.
There was a picture in the New York Post years ago of someone they had fallen onto the train tracks in the subway, and they were trying to get back up, and just a photo of the person, and the person ended up dying. And I don't remember what happened with the photographer or what, but I remember seeing it and thinking, in the moment this picture is taken, you could have been helping this person.
Exactly.
And they died.
Exactly.
What the fuck is that?
Exactly. And at this time, we don't know what's going on to Victoria, why she's in this weird town, this like weird dystopian town where no one will help her and there's like villains chasing her. And so we're right along with her trying to figure out how to get to safety, what's going on with these like spectators, and
feeling very badly for her.
Feeling horrible for her.
I'm just like, this is really a shit day.
Yeah. She keeps getting these like glimpses of this little girl, and we're like, okay, she's looking for her daughter, kind of. Mm-hmm. She doesn't really have any glimpses of the boyfriend, husband, significant other person.
Yeah, she starts to, like, because then once you get to the end, the glimpses, those things start to make sense. Yeah. But like at first, it's really just every once in a while this little girl, and then she runs and sees a couple other normal people seemingly, and they all go into a store, and everyone just films them.
Yeah, so they get trapped in a convenience store at some point, like some 7-Eleven type store, and then the guy with the shotgun finds them, but by then she's linked up with another woman.
Jem, actually, is her name.
Hashtag fucking Jem.
Jem, we see you. Oh my god, we could do Jem the cartoon someday. Do you remember that? There was a cartoon movie.
I know the name Jem, and she's in a band or something.
Yeah. Jem and the Rockers or something like that. Love it.
Yeah.
All right.
But yeah, so her and Jem are trying to get to White Bear. And White Bear is where the last antenna is that's transmitting the signal that they... somehow Jem knows all of this, that like there's a signal, it's in White Bear, how to get there. So she's going to take Victoria along with her. They're going to take out the tower, and that's going to end the program that's like got these people under like a mind control. So she...
Hit it. Mind control.
Yes. So Jem is explaining to Victoria that the phones is what's keeping them under whatever mind control device. So when Victoria goes to try to pick up a phone, Jem kind of yells at her and says, no, phones are how they get you. And then she does end up picking up one, but it kind of just, as Jem said, kind of fucked with her mind, and she's getting flashbacks from memories that don't seem to belong to her. But they're trying to get to White Bear to take down the tower, to end the program, and then hopefully everyone will go back to quote-unquote normal.
Yeah, but this Jem chick, like, it just, she doesn't seem scared enough to me throughout. But then I'm like, oh, maybe she's just a hard ass, and she's also wearing camo, which I'm like, okay, a little on the nose. But she's kicking ass. She's on, she's on Victoria's side, and they're gonna fucking get this transmitter thing, man. Save everyone. But I was sort of like a little put off by Jem. But also thankful that she was helping Victoria.
I was put off by Jem only because she was too prepared.
Yeah.
You know exactly how to get to White Bear. Why haven't you gotten there yet? Where did you get the information from? Like,
how long have you been working this? Like, it kind of, I think that we were supposed to think that Victoria just happened to wake up at the end of this whole saga. But it just was a little too, I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah. Then I rationalized it in my head where it's kind of like a dream, where dreams just begin, and you don't really question it. You're just in the action of that dream. And her waking up in kind of that weird, groggy state, having no idea where she is and everything, maybe she wouldn't have questioned, like, where is this girl? Why is she helping me?
Yep.
Why do I trust her?
Yeah. And she just has to, because it's the only person who seems to be helping her.
Yeah.
Oh, and those people, whenever people have masks, I hope my playing with my hair isn't picking up. I've been doing it all the whole time. Those people with the masks, that's always scary as shit to me. Anyone who's just dressed normally with some weird ass mask.
Like a purge.
This had a purge feeling with the masks. I definitely felt some purge.
Yeah.
It was, and really one of the scariest scenes to me was when she was first running, and just the swarm of people show up and are taping her, and they're very close to her. Yeah. And no one's stepping in. It's such a nightmare.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Total fucking nightmare.
That's so terrifying. But then again, how many people whose instinct would it be to be like, even if they thought they were helping, whose instinct is to record and not like react?
Yeah, it seemed like from what I read, the whole Black Mirror, the screen thing caused, like, affected people and caused them to just be passive voyeurs. And then there were people that weren't affected, and it brought out the worst in them because now there were different rules. They could do whatever they wanted. And so then they kind of became hunters. And then there were the other people that weren't affected, and they were just the Victorias and the gems. But it was just very, it seemed like they were almost hypnotized.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like, but people this day and age are kind of hypnotized in their own way with social media. So it was very bizarre.
Yeah. This episode really fucks me up because it's...
No, it was crazy.
It's so fucked up because, like, it makes me realize even more that, like, the social contract that we all kind of adhere to and kind of live
Shout out to Rousseau.
Yeah, shout out to Rousseau.
Hit us up on Instagram.
No, please don't. You're very dead. Keep your ghost shit to yourself.
Ooh, yeah. Hit us up with a ghost DM, Rousseau. Ghost Rousseau and your social fucking contract. What would you think of this?
Yeah, but, like, the reality is that we all agree to live by this system, and then kind of what they were getting at with some people, like, being affected and non-affected, like, the people who just kind of went off the deep end are kind of, in my mind, the real sociopaths who just decided that, like, oh, wait, I don't have to do any of this. And I'm like, oh my God, that's the scariest realization that I'm, like, waiting for.
Yeah, like
that's the true end of society.
They couldn't be violent before because they would get into trouble, or they decided not to be. But now that they didn't have those consequences, their natural states came to be.
Yeah.
And like, I think there's a lot more people like that than we'd like to think. I mean, I think most of them would fall into voyeurs.
Like that.
I think the majority might fall into voyeurs, but the people who would actively then just hunt people if there was no consequence, I don't know. I feel like I don't think you're like, one.
Like no. No. I don't like messes.
Real dirty.
Yeah. It seems like a lot of effort.
You have to shower forever.
Yeah. You gotta,
buy new
clothes. Pick someone. I don't know. Why would I pick someone? What would they?
Yeah.
Just like a vendetta list or something.
Yeah.
It's a lot of effort. A lot of like. I don't know. I feel
you could Billy Madison that shit
or something.
Billy Madison that shit.
No, I don't have a manifesto to leave the world or anything like that.
We're just kidding, people. But really, I think we might be surprised by who has kind of a thirst for that sort of thing, if permissible.
And the crazy part to me, like, to go even deeper, is not that people want that, but that there's a supplied market. Like, there's a supplier for that desire. Even now, like, my worst fear, which is the dark web, that these crazy, disgusting desires aren't just desires. They're being fulfilled. And that's where, like, a Jeffrey Epstein comes in, that, like, he didn't act alone. And, like,
no. People
created this universe for him to act in this way.
Or R. Kelly.
Or R. Kelly, yeah.
They have a team. Yeah, you can't manage that all on your own.
Yeah.
You need an operations manager.
You do. And come to find out that, like, even in White Bear, it's not just a small operation. Like, the society has signed on to it. So the big reveal at the end of White Bear is
this shocked me. I truly didn't see the way it went down going down.
No, it was
very well done.
Confused on, like, why, because it does seem, towards the end, once they get to White Bear, it does seem like, okay, something's up.
A game.
As Victoria's figuring it out, like, why doesn't Jem just leave her and do the thing? She's, like, very intent on bringing her with her, even though she keeps saying, I don't know, White Bear is not a good place.
And the, like, if she actually lost the lighter the way she did when she got knocked down, like, that whole fucking place would have gone in flames. And so it was sort of like, okay, this is a stage. But the reveal was not just that. It was much more satisfying than that.
I didn't think it was satisfying at all.
You didn't?
I absolutely hated this episode because it really fucked me up.
Wait, hold on. So you didn't like the ending that this was a form of capital punishment?
No, I hated it. That's the part that I hated the most.
I mean, I liked it in terms of an episode, like in terms of a reveal, but it was a very sad thing.
Yeah, well, I was definitely surprised.
Yeah. That's what I mean. That's why I liked it. I was like, oh, is this what we're doing?
I'm surprised in the bad way, though. I did not like this. I think there's a lot of truth to it. Yeah. So I'll just tell you what it is. But so we find out that White Bear is actually a federal capital punishment amusement
Justice
park of sorts.
Park. Yeah.
Justice Park. And Victoria is actually guilty of being an accomplice to a child murder.
And filming it.
So instead of helping the little girl, she filmed it. And that
Which is why she's being filmed.
Yes, that's why she's being filmed. And why nobody's helping her as she screams for help and all of those things. But the accomplice, who's actually mentioned in a couple other episodes of Black Mirror, he kills himself.
Yeah.
So he doesn't stand trial. So everyone is like extra mad at Victoria because the actual person who killed her, not that being an accomplice to an act like that makes you in any way less guilty.
Right.
But
she was definitely charged with murder.
Yeah.
But as to what degree, we're not sure.
Right. But he is the one who actually is a child murderer. Mm-hmm. And he's killed himself. So Victoria is the one stuck in this federal justice camp, quote unquote. I'm not going to call it a justice camp. She has to
relive the same day, relive the punishment every day.
In my opinion, that's no justice there.
It's very like, so they erase her mind. So basically, like when she woke up, she starts with feeling like, oh, my head hurts. And that's because of what they do after they tell her, she's basically open up a stage. She realizes that she's part of this production. They show her videos and let her know who she is. Mm-hmm. And then they bring her back to the house again. And then they cuff her she's still cuffed to the chair, and they put the bottle of pills down and kind of like strewn about. So she thinks she tried to kill herself and is confused, and her head hurts because of the thing that they erase her mind with, which is very painful.
Yeah.
And she just does it. So my question is, how, does she do it forever? Does she do it until eventually she finds a way to kill herself? How?
Well, they'll most likely kill her. There's no way you can reset somebody. And they were marking a calendar, so I'm thinking maybe you can only do this to someone.
And then you think they kill her
30 times. I think they would accidentally kill her. I don't think you could go through that much repeated trauma and survive. There doesn't seem to be any lag time where she gets medical treatment and then goes back into the simulation.
But what kind of medical treatment?
Over and over and over.
And I mean, obviously psychological trauma, but people were in the Holocaust for years and years. I wonder how long this can go on physically. She seems, if they're feeding her, I don't know. It was just very I don't know.
I absolutely hated that. I hated the idea of this is in no way justice.
It was very, very scary. And I had a weird, I was conflicted. I was shocked that
by the crime.
She was a felon.
Yeah.
I was shocked by the crime, but that shock did not parlay into feeling like, oh, this is fine to do. Mm-hmm. I was she's such a sympathetic, they really built her up as her arc and all of that. She's just so sympathetic as a protagonist, and you're just like, dear Jesus, no one deserves this. And then they kind of throw that part in, and it startles you for a second, and you're like, does she deserve this? And the answer for me is no. I don't think anyone does. But then again, am I against capital punishment? That's basically what it's asking you.
Yeah.
And I think I'm against it. But it's, I think it's very different if you're a victim of a crime. So I don't know what I would feel if I were victimized or someone I know was victimized by a crime like that. But standing where I am now, I'm against it.
I feel the same way.
It's just hard to put yourself in the shoes if your child is murdered and what that does. I would hope that
I can only speak for what I think that I would do. I would never want, even if it was my child, I would never want that. I don't want to live knowing that you went through a justice park like this.
Oh, justice park. I was thinking of just our lethal injection.
Exactly. I am against capital punishment, but I don't think society is, and I think that's the dichotomy that they're pointing out, is that we're mad at individual actors, but not at society. As an individual actor, we're mad at you for committing a murder.
Right.
But as a society, we can decide when a murder is appropriate.
It's very eye for an eye. And I'm like, it's so biblical. And like, is that really how we should do things? Like, I would like to think that I wouldn't want it to happen to someone either. Like, if it were something very personal, I just don't see how, like, resentment is one of those things, what it's like hating someone else but drinking poison. I'm not saying it the right way, but like it's along the lines of like it's killing yourself inside to feel that much hatred and to not forgive. And not saying that forgiveness would be easy or even possible, but I just don't see how I would feel better
or participating. Like, say I'm not the person who's this act of violence has been like, you know, touching my life as an individual. But I'm just going to say Texas because I think it's the only state that comes to mind with like a very active death penalty. Yeah. But like to be a Texan and participate in that like amusement park of a justice system seems insane. Insane.
And bringing your children.
Yeah.
There's children.
The last flashing scene when they're setting it up for the new, the next day, of the woman with her 2 kids. And I'm just like,
ooh, kids, guess what we're going to do today?
Yeah. And I was like,
yeah,
this broke me.
It was a big heartache. And like, I watched it again and I'm really happy that I did watch it for a second time, because then knowing, what the ending was, it made it so interesting. The little nuggets that they kind of put out there for you. Like, the whole, like with the taser, when Jem has that taser and she initially goes to taser Victoria because Victoria threw like a rock at someone that was just taping her, and she acts like that's a weapon that she just has, and that she's trying to help Victoria from looking at the phone to get, you know, hypnotized or whatever, it's going to do something to her. But she actually had that because Victoria herself is considered a dangerous individual. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And then also when Victoria was running and in that first scene and everyone is kind of following her, there was one guy, everyone's watching and they've got their phones up, but there was one guy I saw who like pushed a woman back a little bit who was filming, and it was almost like a protective move. And I'm like, oh yeah, they're scared of her. And I mean, understandably scared of her, but not like, why are you guys doing this? It's just very, oh my God.
Yeah. And I'm like, that's probably the only part that I don't really see too many parallels in the real world, is the spectator part of viewing or visiting the amusement park. Like, people don't just visit prisons to just like laugh at inmates, do they?
I mean, I've gone to a few, but I'm not laughing at them. Yeah. But I have done a few tours.
Yeah, I mean, I've been to a prison, but I'm like...
But not like, ha ha ha, you're in a cage.
Yeah, not to be like, good to see that you're getting your just punishment for the errors in your ways.
No, they are a creepy place to be. I've told you about my prison
the people
pen pal.
Live there. That's the
people live there, and they didn't, like, I did go to the death row area. I was kind of shocked they brought us up there, but the prisoners were behind glass in like a basketball court sort of thing, and we were just on the other side of the glass. And that, because I had never seen cells, I'd never gone that deep into a prison where I was going in wards where people were in cells. So this was my only interaction with prisoners who were divided. Because the other time I was teaching theater. And that's a little bit of a different situation. But this was like, they are not able to get at me, and I can't get at them. And it has a zoo sort of feeling. Yeah. And it's real weird.
That's kind of what the amusement park felt to me, was like, it was like a ride through zoo. Like, have you ever done those? Like, it's a...
Oh, yeah. Look at the animals.
Sideshow attraction. Yeah, look at the animals. Like, this one committed murder. Like, you like read the plaque and it's a rap sheet. That's what I was like, is that what's next?
Yeah.
I was like, what are people taking away from this? Or has like society is now so shameless that this is the level of shaming required to get like the desired like 1950s level of whatever that level of shame was, which was just like, you've been found out, and now I'm like,
yeah,
the town knows.
Yeah.
Now it's like an amusement park of shaming, in order to get that same like rise out of people.
It was wild, and it kind of made me think. So each punishment park or whatever is designed, like that one was named for her because the little girl had a white bear, and it was called White Bear Justice Park. So I'm like, are these? Hold on. So these are just parks for each prisoner. Like, I wonder what the other types of amusement rides were occurring, like based on the person's crime. Yeah, it's so fascinating.
Kind of makes me think that this probably doesn't last longer than a month, because there's no way they could keep that up.
Yeah, maybe they just put her in prison then.
Program, you know.
You got to pilot stuff. We encourage pilot programs. Yeah, maybe it was...
Fuck you, Aaron Waters show.
Oh, my God. It was wild. So, strong female lead. Like, what do you think? Does she fill our...
No.
So, wait. So, strong female lead is what? Is agency, impact, the and plot,
billing.
Top bill.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to say no, only because for me, the most important piece of strong female lead is agency. And without her memory, and without like just a little bit more backstory in regards to the murder, and like I would just want to know like if she was also being abused, and that's how she got herself into this situation with this.
Because that was her defense, but we didn't get to...
We don't know
hear more about it. I mean, he looked shitty.
Yeah, and she looked
in the pictures.
Crazy in those pictures. Like she looked like, you know, like there was no light behind her eyes in those photos.
And the flashbacks that they showed of the crime. Mm-hmm. There was a fire, and so they had burned the body, and she was filming, and you could see her filming and talking to the little girl. So like, she definitely was.
She definitely participated.
It's very. Oof. Yeah. But did she even have agency, could you say?
Even then.
And then, she have... I mean, who knows?
Yeah. So I'm going to say no.
But she's top billed.
But she is top billed.
Does she move the plot? I mean, like
she does, but in a very artificial way, because it was going to happen to her either way. Like,
I know. It's very weird.
That's so fucked up.
And that's what makes it even more fucked up, is because, like, she's the lead actress. She's the lead character. She's the entire show. Mm-hmm. But she is lacking some of those primary... I mean, it's our strong female lead definition. Mm-hmm. But her agency... I mean, yeah, she moves and walks and screams, but she isn't able to actually do anything that results in anything except the result that's going to come.
Yeah.
And then she impacts the plot, but in a scripted way each time.
Yeah.
But it makes me think, like, going back to, like, Handmaid's Tale. Like, June has agency, but a confined amount of agency. Mm-hmm. You know? It's within the universe. This movie really... It's like... agency within agency within agency. It's the inception of strong female lead. Like, I'm confused even thinking about it.
Very true. I think
because she is the whole plot. Like, that's the beautiful part of it. It's all her, but then it's like, oh dear God, it's stuff just being done to her.
Yeah. Well, I think like the interesting thing for me is that like normally there would be a living male character usurping her agency, but it's weird that even in death, I guess society has taken the place of the what that normal dynamic would be. Part of me just like wants to give her the benefit of the doubt, and that I give most people, and for most situations, like I just don't know all the pieces. Like maybe there's something there that's going to be redemptive in some way. But if the reality is what the
but then also she could just
be
a total psychological terror. Like just because she's the victim of this situation and we don't agree with it doesn't mean that she didn't know what she was doing and wasn't as involved in the crime as the court decided. So it's very like I side with her in the sense that this punishment is horrifying and unnecessary, but I don't know if I like her. I mean, I certainly don't, considering what I the information I have. Like, she scares the shit out of me. But I don't agree with this sort of crazy ass mind control thing. And Black Mirror, as much as I love it, damn, they do rely on that, like, little zzz, like in the temples, and every episode they go to it, and I'm like, I get it. We have the abilities to fuck with someone's head, and you just put it on their temples, and it works. Yeah, it's like their go-to, but it works. Yeah, she scared me. She did scare me, but
she didn't scare me. It's society's reaction to her that scared me, and I was very curious, and I didn't look this up, but I was like, does the UK have a cruel and unusual punishment legislation? I wonder, because I was like, that couldn't happen here. Well, I mean, it could, but it'd be very underground. Oh, like, it wouldn't be state sanctioned.
I don't think that could happen in the UK.
It's strictly forbidden. I mean, they have Boris Johnson now. He's their prime minister. So.
Hey, UK listeners, shout out to you too, guys. Reach out to us. Tell us what's sort of
cruel and unusual about your punishment.
We don't really know a lot about the justice system, other than,
wigs
and
robes,
and the judges are definitely in costume.
A very rowdy parliament.
They have to, and they have to wear wigs still, which is super incredible, which I love. Don't change that ever. I did appreciate there wasn't a lot of diversity in this at all, but the lead character was Black, and the little girl was Black that was murdered, and the couple was biracial.
Yeah, the little girl's parents.
Yeah, and so, like, I appreciated some diversity in there, but it was still, like, I don't know. It was very slim, but it was interesting that, like, the lead character was, and then also they had a black
smattering of other colored people in the crowd.
They had a black man who was one of the victims, though, which I liked. Like, he was the parent of the little girl. We only saw him in the news clip, but it's like, usually black men aren't afforded like a role that it just doesn't typically go that way. It'd typically be a little white girl with white parents. And so I appreciated, like, that part of it. Yeah. Although I didn't want that little girl to die. But the fact that it had as much media coverage, which doesn't typically happen if it's a child that's not white. So, like, I dug some of that.
Yeah, I wasn't mad at the diversity in this movie. This episode of Black Mirror. I don't know if it's a movie. I mean, there's a smattering of colored faces, like, in the crowds, like, with phones and things, and, like, I liked the ranges of ages. Yeah, I appreciated that as an aspect of diversity. Everyone looked pretty average, right? Which I also really liked. I hate seeing those Hollywood sets where even the backgrounds are 10.
Oh, I'm like, God.
I don't think you're a background actor. I think what? Okay.
I agree. I thought they did a good job with it without making it a thing.
Yeah. I am curious about the news coverage, and I'm like, okay. Well, I was like, that was one of the only parts where I was just like, I don't know about this, but okay.
You didn't buy it?
No, not at all. But, okay. Oh, like, it's not, I mean, I get it. I mean, okay.
Guys, watch this episode. It's season 2. It's scary as fuck.
It is.
And it is so good.
Yes. Tell us if you were left unsettled by it. I feel like I want to, in honor of Black Mirror, start a social media campaign to abolish capital punishment.
It was deeply unsettling because that's psychological torture. But here's the thing. We do that to, people that we believe are terrorists. And I mean, that kind of stuff is always going on. So just it happening with the public in such an obvious way, like in a social media type way, interactive way like that, we haven't seen. But it is happening in a variation of that. Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Yeah, 100%.
But like to the point where it's like a park. Wow. I don't know, man.
Yeah, that's truly terrifying.
I mean, as long as Trump is president, we don't know. that kind of thing could happen.
Isn't that the scariest thing? He's in charge of spontaneous renditioning.
Yeah, Trump, follow us on Twitter. Tell us what you think.
No, thank you. Don't follow us.
We want to get into a war with him on Twitter. A Twitter war.
That would be hilarious.
It would be amazing.
Don't trust women. They can't lead.
Yeah. No. Women are the enemy.
That was my Trump impression.
Oh, do it again.
Don't trust women. Women can't lead.
I like that. You sound just like him.
Thank you.
All right. So, guys, the next episode that we are going to be doing is another Black Mirror, because we're continuing the sci-fi through August.
Women versus technology.
Women versus technology and the world. And you should find us on Instagram at Strong Female Pod.
Yeah, and really tell us what you think on Twitter. We're SFL_Chicago on Twitter.
And please, please, please rate, review, subscribe on Apple Podcasts. It does a world of difference. We would love it. Leave us a really great, funny review, and we'll read it on the next episode.
Yeah.
Do it. And I don't know if you even want that. So if you do, though, and you want your words to be...
If you want your words to be written or read dramatically by Tricia or myself.
A dramatic reading. Yes, that's what we'll do.
Yes, leave a comment on Apple Podcasts, and we will start doing that.
And only 5-star ratings, guys. Come on. Be nice.
Yeah. Be a friend.
Be a friend. That's it.
Yeah. Guys, we'll talk to you next time.
Bye.
Bye.